Hello, welcome to A Moment in Time with Taylor. Woo, I almost dropped everything. If you don't know me, I go live every single day, and I have been live every day for over 5 years straight, at least at the time of streaming this book review. I do lots of different content on a lot of different platforms, so if you check out my website, which is my username, nexjuice.com, NexJuice.com, you can sign up for a written version of this book review. I send out the book review emails every few months. I try to send out one email a month, just like kind of with an update on my channels and what's been going on, if there's anything new or changes. However, I've been a little bit off track with getting those emails out, but I do try to stay on top of the book review emails, which is basically the written version of this, which can be nice because I do these live. So when comments and chat come in, sometimes we get a little digressed and it takes a little bit longer than it would to just write a couple paragraphs about the book. And I do this because I love to read. I read a lot of different books, mostly nonfiction, business, wealth, finance, psychology, parenting, etc. And I know a lot of people don't like to read. It's kind of a lost art. So this way, you can get the information from the book and get, different recommendations and kind of an overview of what the book's about to decide if you are a reader, if you want to get the book and read it yourself, or I always say I read books so you don't have to. So you can get the highlights and the little golden nuggets that I mined out of the book by reading it for yourself, and you can get the benefits of having read the book without having to take the time to do so. Hi, Timmy. First comment to the broadcast. How are you? Good to see you. I love that heart. That looks so pretty. Is that new on YouTube? I haven't seen that before. Oh, I'm stuck. Oh my God, I ran over my own headphones. Come on. Come on, little wire. Okay. Gary, hey, how are you? You just read Martin Luther King's autobiography? Ooh, nice. That is one I have not read yet. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I didn't even know he had an autobiography. Maybe, do you think I should put it on my list to read? So our book review today is this one. Be Obsessed or Be Average by Grant Cardone. You can see him sitting on the jet. It's his jet. It's got the 10X, his kind of logo, the 10X. We actually read the 10X rule before. I already did my review on that one about massive action, and this is his jet that has the 10X logo right on the tail. And I really liked this book. So I'm going to give this book at least 4 stars. I'm tempted to give it 5 stars. I'll have to decide when I actually sit down to do my written review, but it's up there. It was a good one. I really enjoyed it. It really motivated me, and it really got me tapping into a lot more creative energy that I had kind of drifted away from. I think because I've been live streaming and my business has been live streaming for 5 years now, I got a little bit comfortable, I got a little bit stagnant, and this book really kind of like reignited my fire and my passion and my creative juices and my brain in a way that I haven't really felt in a long time. So thank you, Grant Cardone, for writing a book that really got me going. It's also not too long. You can see it's pretty clear, concise, to the point. There's not tons of anecdotal evidence. Pretty much all the anecdotes are personal about himself, which, if you know me, I usually skip past most anecdotes. But I definitely found his history very interesting. And I just think it's amazing. I think he's 63 now or so. This book was written, I think like 2016 it was. 2016. And it's just really amazing. If you go on his social media and just check him out, like, he's 63 and he still has so much energy and he's so vibrant. It's just very, very inspirational. Whether you want to take all of his sales strategies and employment strategies and business strategies or not, whether you're an entrepreneur or not, being vibrant, being energetic, being kind of infectious, being able to motivate and inspire other people is just a really awesome quality and definitely worth admiring, whether you're interested in this particular subject in business or not. Thank you, Timmy. That's very nice. I appreciate that. How is your girlfriend? I definitely should. Okay, Gary says that I should put Martin Luther King's autobiography on my list to read, and I will forget if I don't do it right now, so I'm going to add it on there real quick. I don't know what my login is for Goodreads. Hopefully it's that. Okay, yeah, it is. Okay, so my MLK autobiography. What's it called? Excuse me, because it's not called that. Let me Google it. The Autobiography of Martin Luther King Jr. Okay. The Autobiography of Martin. Yeah, here we go. I already have it on my want to read list. Okay, so the way I handle this, if somebody has suggested a book to me, a lot of times I get suggested different books in books that I read, and oftentimes just like from my friend Gary out in Scotland, Ireland. Why do I always say Scotland? I think it's Ireland. I think he's in Ireland. You know, he's recommending this to me live during the live stream. I actually took this piece of advice from someone who's kind of in the same realm as Grant Cardone, which is Ty Lopez. And he always said, like, it's not worth it to try to sit there and decide whether or not a book recommendation is a good one or not. If enough people recommend it to you, and even if just one person that you respect and admire and maybe has something in their life that you would want, if they recommend a book to you, just put it on your list. Just read it. Just go for it. You don't have to read every single word of a book. You can kind of get the highlights. You can read the bolded font. You can read the quotes. You can look at the chapter titles and the different parts and figure out what sections that you really want to dive into. Like for me, I really like to learn the practical takeaways from the book. What can I learn? What can I share with other people rather than just, oh, you know, I learned about this person, Grant Cardone, in his life and in his businesses, and really how useful is that for me unless it's specific things and techniques and strategies that I can implement into my life, into my business. So what I do, if I've been suggested a book once, I put it on my want to read list on Goodreads. I think my Goodreads list should be in the description of this video. If it's not, just comment and I will add it. And then if I get another, once it's already on my want to read list, then I go and I put it on my Amazon wish list. So that way, if I didn't already have like 20 books over there waiting to be read, I would just order it. But because I already have lots of books in front of this one to read, I'll put it on my wish list. And this is kind of a cool place for like my family, my friends, my subscribers, my viewers online. If they want to send a little gift, sometimes people would prefer to give a gift than money. And this is a great way to give people exactly, kind of let them know exactly what I want. So I put it on my NexJuice wish list, and now, or if I get caught up on my books, or if I'm looking for something new to read, I'll shop off my own wish list a lot of times too. Ireland. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I always say Scotland. Oh, that's funny. Hey, Josh, how are you? Ty Lopez has some good advice. Correct. I don't take all of the advice that Ty Lopez gives, or all of the advice that Grant Cardone gives, or all of the advice that anyone gives. But you can always find golden nuggets. That's actually a term I took from Ty Lopez too, is like when you're reading a book, you're gold mining. You're digging through for the golden nuggets. You don't have to spend your whole life reading one book. You can find something good and then move on to the next. Ty Lopez is actually the person who got me back connected with my love of reading years ago. I actually took his challenge to read 30 books in 3 days, and it was powerful. It was really amazing to see that I could do that. I could actually read an entire book every day for 30 days and just gain so much knowledge in such a short period of time. Was really, really opened my mind and my business. How are you, Mr. Montgomery? How you doing? Hi, Willie. How are you doing? Kind of like Tim Ferriss's back in the day. Ty Lopez compiles wisdom from a bunch of successful people in one place. A curator. Yeah, Tim Ferriss, yeah, he has that book, Tools of Titans. I didn't love that book. I mean, I'm sure it was very beneficial for him to be networking. We're actually going to talk about networking from this book, but I didn't really love that book. But I did definitely enjoy The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, so he's got his benefits for sure. And that's what I liked about the book, The 4-Hour Workweek, is that he compiled a lot of useful tools, like actual websites and software and strategies. Ever since I read The 4-Hour Workweek, probably in like 2016 or something, my phone has been on silent. I very rarely turn the ringer on my phone because I found that I'm not 911. I'm not a doctor. I can't help someone in a true emergency. So unless I'm expecting an important phone call, like when my sister was pregnant and due any day, and I knew I was going to have to hear my phone ring and go see her give birth, you know, little moments like that, or if someone's going to, you know, I had like an interview the other day with a volunteer opportunity, internship opportunity for school. I made sure that I had my ringer on, but generally speaking, my phone is on silent so that I can't get interrupted and distracted easily throughout my day. When I'm done with what I'm doing, I can look at my phone and get caught up on messages or calls. I actually don't particularly love talking on the phone very much either, so it actually has kind of retrained the people in my life to not call me. Just send me a message. You can do an audio message, like through iMessage or Instagram or whatever, or you can type out what you want to say. If you absolutely have to have a phone call with me, then we can make that happen when I'm finished with what I'm working on. We don't want to be constantly getting interrupted by every time our phone lights up or beeps, or rings. I'm glad you're doing great, Willie. That's awesome. I'm doing great too. I'm going to be in Florida in a couple of days, and I'm going to be staying there for an entire month. I'm really excited. I'm a little nervous, but I'm really, ultimately optimistic about the experience. Yeah, I get all my books on Amazon. And I very rarely buy books for myself. So actually, my dad, for Christmas this year, I think he bought me 5 books. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, he bought me 5 books off my Amazon wish list. So now there's actually 2 shelves. So where the little orange Among Us guy is and the shelf below that, both of those shelves are all books that I have to read still. So luckily, I deleted all the games off of my phone. Because of this book, actually, while I was reading this book, I was like, you know what? I'm wasting time playing these mindless games on my phone all night long. Let me delete all that. And it caused me to read this book in just a couple of weeks, where I really had fallen off with reading in general. And now I'm reading this book, and I'm already on page 80-something. 86 or something. So I don't know. There's a lot of blank pages in here. I don't know if they count the blank pages or not. But I would say maybe almost a third of the way through this book, called To Sell is Human by Daniel Pink. This will be the next one we do a review on. But in the meantime, let's continue talking about the one we are gathered here today to discuss. Hey, Ron, how are you? How are you doing? Ty Lopez charges too much for his programs. It depends on what program you're talking about and if you really plan to do it or not, right? So, I thought the 67 step back in the day when I got the 67 steps program, it was $67 for 67 steps to success. To me, that was an amazing deal. There's no way that's too expensive. $67 for 67 videos, like video trainings and lessons and ideas to get and one of which was the 30 books in 30 days. There was so much good stuff on that 67-step program. Now I think he charges $67 a month and then it's just basically however long it takes you to get through them. I think that's not as good of a deal. So it really depends. It depends on what the price is. Sometimes he runs fire sales where it's $99 for 6 of his programs. But just be careful about what you're getting, because a lot of times he says, oh, you're getting all these programs, and it's more of an introduction into that program. And if you want to go deeper, have the VIP version of the program, it's 3 times as much just for that one. So sales funnels, good on him for being a good salesman and making his money. But I think, buyer beware, as always. Although we live in a world now where, because we have so much access to so much information and so many options at our fingertips, it's more like seller beware. They really have to earn our business in a way that they never really had to before technology and Google, became such an integral part in all of our lives. Hello, Forecast Jana. How are you? I don't think I've met you before. Is this your first time here? Did you just stumble upon this on YouTube, or were you already subscribed? Guys, we're almost at 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. What? Crazy. I think we're 23 subs away from 2,000. And if you like this video, please do give me the thumbs up. I think that causes YouTube to get my videos in front of more people, which is pretty awesome. Although I can already tell this video is probably going to be longer than it needs to be just to talk about this book, which is why I strongly encourage you to go to my website and sign up for my book reviews emails. They're free. I only send them out every few months. I try to send 1 email a month. Even that is if I'm really on top of my stuff, I'll send you 1 email a month. That's just an overview of what I've been doing, what I've been reading, what's going on with different channels. It's not it's not love you, Ty Lopez and Grant Cardone, but if you sign up for one of their email lists, you're going to get an email every day selling you some other product. And that's not the kind of thing that I do. As a social media content creator, I know that at any moment my YouTube channel could get shut down, my TikTok could get shut down, my Twitch could get shut down. So I want to have a place where I can communicate with people and say, hey, I'm not going live here anymore. Now I'm going live here. I'm focusing on this. I'm traveling to this place if you want to do a meetup. You know, it's more of like a just keeping in touch kind of thing, because what I do is so social, right? It's not, as a live streamer, there's a lot of live engagement. I don't just make these edited YouTube videos where it's just me, you know, monologuing, talking, and you watch it and then that's it. You know, it's really more of a relationship. So I send out like personal update emails each month when I'm on top of it, which I haven't been for a few months. And then the book reviews I try to send out every 3 or 4 months of just like a written summary, a few paragraphs of each book that I've read, so that you don't have to sit here and listen to me talk with all my friends on the replay if you don't really want to. Hello, Daniel. How are you doing? Good to see you. It's not worth thousands, but it is useful info. Well, that's actually that's actually very, very debatable. If a program can make you thousands of dollars, it's worth thousands of dollars, right? So if it can make you $10,000, it's worth $2,000. It's worth $8,000. I mean, if it can generate you more than you would have made without it, it is worth it. It's just a matter of if you're really going to follow it. Like, for example, he has a social media content or a social media manager program or something like that. If you really want to do that and you're really serious about making a lot of money off doing that, it wouldn't matter if he charged you $2,000 for the program, because he like, your pitch in that program, if I remember correctly, is that you're charging each of your clients $2,000 a month. So even if you get 2 clients in 1 month, you've now doubled your investment. You know, you've had a massive 100% return on your investment, and then you would maintain that each month. However, are you willing to do what it takes to dive in to learn how to make a good social media campaign and to reach out to all the different types of companies that you want to work with and really pitch them? I mean, I spent $2,000 on Sam Ovins's, what was it called? Consulting something 2.0. It was some $2,000 program, and that program actually caused me to start live streaming, which has now made me over $250,000 over the last 5 years. So on average, like 50 grand a year. So the $2,000, I'm not looking back and going, that wasn't worth it. You know, it really, really helped to leverage me into what I do. But are you gonna take it and do it, or are you just gonna spend the money and hope that because you bought the program, now all your financial problems are solved and now you make a lot of money? Nah, you gotta actually follow it. And sometimes it might not be what you wanna hear, and it might not be what you wanna do. And so that can be the hard part with these things, is really figuring out before looking at it if it is something that you wanna do. But you gotta risk it to get the biscuit. You got to change your perception about money too, because like some people think $100 is a lot of money. Some people think $2,000 is a lot of money. I mean, it's all a matter of perspective. I spent $500 yesterday gifting Twitch subs to other Twitch streamers. Like, you know, some people would be like, oh my God, I don't even want to sub to one Twitch channel for $5. Like, it's just, you know, it's all perspective, and it's all about what your budget and what you can spend and what you can give charity, what you have for investments, what you have for savings, what you have for cash flow. I mean, we're all in different places, and we all have a different number and threshold that would be out of our comfort zone. So you don't want to go way out of your comfort zone on a risk. But as you find the manageable risk and you start to risk a little bit more, gain more, risk more, win more, risk some, lose, recover, then you realize, like, you can recover from a risk that you took. It can go wrong and you can still bounce back and be okay, and that makes your appetite for risk increase, which is really the key to growing wealth in general. Calculated risk, right? You don't want to be gambling, but investing in a book, like say this book was $100. I mean, this book might have made me $100 yesterday. I don't know exactly how many subs I got during my stream yesterday, but I mean, this book wasn't $100, I guess is the point. This book could make me thousands of dollars, and, you know, potentially tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars over time. And it's marked $27. Let's look it up on Amazon. Let's see how much this book actually costs on Amazon right now, because it's marked $27 from when it was published in 2016. Be Obsessed or Be Average by Grant Cardone on Amazon. As of today, January 24th, 2022, is marked $16. Or you can get it on Kindle for $5. $5 on Kindle. Okay, $16 if you want the physical book because you're sick of looking at screens all the live long day like me. I like physical books better than ebooks because I'm like staring at screens so much of my day as it is. $16, you know, it's like I said, it could be $100. This book could be $500 and you could still make a return on that. So investing in education, investing in knowledge, investing in programs is very rarely considered a gamble or a risk. What hurts, Robin? Oh, it says Robin. Oh, when you said Milby Hyperon, I don't know why I thought your name was Ron this whole time. Josh Webb from Heating and Cooling. Awesome. Wait, Heating and Cooling? I thought he does moving. Yes, I'm definitely going to enjoy Florida. I know I've lived there before. I know this month is going to be, I'm going to definitely enjoy it. I hope the place that I stay is enjoyable. I hope I have like at least tolerable neighbors. But even if not, I'll make it worth it. We're going to have fun and I'll still be live every single day like I always am. Jules says, sounds expensive for us common folk. Yeah, so $2,000 for you guys might be a lot for a program. So don't buy that. It's fine. You know, if for me at that time, I had a millionaire mentor who I was talking to, I think it was monthly, once a month we would meet and talk on the phone, and he had no affiliate relationship with this program. We were meeting, he was mentoring me, I was a new entrepreneur. I actually connected with him based off of another thing that I gained from Ty Lopez's 67 Steps program, which again was $67, which some of you guys might say, oh my God, $67, I don't know. But I mean, so just on one of his 67 step programs, he talked about getting around the people that you want to be around. So reach out, he said, make a list. You guys can do this too. So here you go. Look, $67 I invested now. You didn't have to pay a penny. I'm going to give you something that made me a lot of money, and it's almost priceless. Connecting with people who are doing what you want to do on a large scale is, you can't even put a price on that because the potential for future income is just unlimited. It really is unlimited. So he said, make a list of 10 people that you want to mentor you, 10 people you want to have a conversation with. I put Oprah on my list. I put Sheryl Sandberg on my list. I think I put like my yoga teacher on my list, you know, everywhere. People that were very attainable, people that felt unattainable. And I put all these people on my list and I started just reaching out to them. He said, just send an email or get a phone number, call them, try to set up a 30-minute meeting, right? Have a pitch to have a 30-minute call with them where you just want to pick their brain and learn from them. And what he said, which ended up being very true, is that this happens so rarely for so many people that are successful. You think that they would, in your mind, you're like, oh, they're so inundated with people that want their time and attention. There's no way that I'm going to be able to get that. But what you're asking for is not for them to buy your product or put you on their show, or you're not really, you know, trying to like really get something from them massively besides 30 minutes of their time where you can just rapid fire basically ask them questions and just soak up the information from these successful people like a sponge. And I did that with a bunch of people. No, I didn't talk to Oprah or Sheryl Sandberg, although I did talk to Sheryl Sandberg's assistant via email multiple times, which I thought was pretty cool. Regardless, I don't know exactly how I ended up down this track, but like someone, I think from the 67 Steps Facebook group, who was like another person kind of, you know, following the program, we started talking on Facebook, and then he mentioned at one point one of his mentors. So I found that person on LinkedIn, and I did a 30-minute call with that guy. And then that guy mentioned one of his mentors, wrote down his name. I got to that guy, and that guy was a millionaire. You know, he is in the business of in business acquisition. So he does like flipping like you do for a house for businesses, which is something I'm still actually very interested in maybe doing sometime in my future, where he finds kind of a dilapidated business that's like basically just trying to survive. He buys it, or at least a piece of it, and then he flips it. He improves it. He applies like his system and program from all of the things that he's learned of having his own businesses to that business, gets systems and processes in place, and then he makes either a portion of the income or he sells his portion or the entire business, depending on what level we're talking, and makes money flipping businesses and improving businesses, making businesses better, it was so fun talking to him every month. It was really, really awesome. And he really encouraged me when I mentioned that I kind of want this program, but it's $2,000. I don't really know. And he was like, do it. Trust me on this. Just do it. Spend the $2,000, because if you put $2,000 at that point in my life, I had money saved up, but I'd quit my job recently. I was an aspiring entrepreneur. I had made a little bit of money as a yoga teacher, a very little bit, like a few $100s as a yoga teacher. And I had done yoga teacher training, which was over, I think it was like $2,500 anyway, and made like a couple hundred. So I was still not even in any kind of profit on that venture. He's like, when you put skin in the game, when you get out of that comfort zone and you risk what's an uncomfortable amount of money for you, you make it work. You're like, you don't fail. You take the information, you do the program, you work it, and you make it work for you, and you get money out of it. And he was 100% right. If that program had just been given to me, I don't know. Who knows if I would have watched the videos, if I really would have put it into action. I was cold calling businesses. I was getting businesses interested in having me manage their social media, all this stuff, which is what I thought I wanted to do. And then I realized I don't really know how to do that. I still barely know how to do my own social media management. But I stumbled upon live streaming, which I think I'm quite good at. I've made a lot of money doing it, and it seems like some people out there in the world enjoy it, and I really enjoy it. So I never would have done this or discovered any of that or made the $250,000 I've made without having taken that $2,000 kind of leap of faith. You can just buy books from those people and spend much less. Yeah, if they have books. I don't think Ty Lopez has a book. Or Sam Ovens, which is the $2,000 program I'm talking about. Proker? What are you saying? Programs can only help a person that's already on their way. Yeah, I mean, I think Ed's spent like $30,000 on a program before, he traveled to it, and it was like a mastermind, like a meeting of the minds. I don't know how many days it was, like 3 days or 2 days over a weekend or something. He spent like $30,000, and that for him was like, oh God, that's out of my comfort zone. And he made $30,000 like the following week or month or something, like immediately off of the stuff he learned from that program. So it's just a matter of what level you're at and what value you can get from it. This was someone he had worked with many times before, and anytime he spent any amount of money with this guy, he got massive returns on that investment. So the $30,000 wasn't the first thing he did, but you ratchet up as you increase that comfort zone. Money is relative. Okay, yeah. Value goes down over time. Value of what? What are you talking about? Are you talking about items? Or you just mean do you mean the price of the book? Because price and value are not the same thing at all. Ionis, hello, hola, how are you? Ionas? If they're laying on the ground, a book won't help boost them over a wall. Weird analogy, I know. If they're already trying to climb the wall, a book could give them an edge. Well, yeah, and also this book's not going to do you any good if you leave this on the ground and don't actually read it. You can buy all the empowerment, business, finance, wealth, investment books you want and put them on your bookshelf. If you don't read them, they do you no good. No super chat ability on YouTube for me? No, I still don't have 4,000 hours of watch time on YouTube. It's a hard knock life on these streets for me on YouTube. I don't know what the deal is with it, but I struggle on here. Okay, so now that we've been talking for 30 minutes. Hi, welcome to my streams. I guess we'll talk about this book, shall we? I wrote some notes. I keep almost dropping everything off my desk. Listen, your desk doesn't have to be well organized. Not organized, but it doesn't need to be that tidy to be successful. Okay. I've dealt with people that want business advice, and it's like carrying someone that's limp on the ground. Here's the thing. People want something, right? So let's say someone wants to be rich. They want to be wealthy. They want to be financially free. right? They don't want to have to worry about their bills. They don't want to work at the job they're working at. They don't want to be an employee or whatever, right? They want to be free financially and otherwise. But so few people are willing to do what it takes to become free. So there's nothing you can give them all the advice in the world. If they're not going to take that advice and do something with it, there's just, I did a stream was it 2 days ago on Twitch titled, "You Want It? Work for It." It's a basic, simple concept. It's easier said than done. Oh, I want it. Oh, yeah, I'm willing to work for it. Lots of lip service. Are you really going to work for it? Are you really going to do it? I've been a live streamer for 5 years. I've been live every single day for over 5 years straight. And some of you might sit here and go, "Well, this looks pretty easy." She read a book. She goes live. She talks about it. People come in. She talks to them. She reads their comments. She responds. Easy. I could do that. Sure. Could you do it every single day for over 1,000 days? Could you do it when you don't feel like it? Could you do it when you're getting sexually harassed and objectified in the chat like every 2 seconds? Could you do it when you haven't made money from it in a little bit of time? Could you do it in the beginning when I didn't make money for the first 3 months that I did it? I don't know. Do you love it? If you love it, you could do it, for sure. But most people, it's like, if I make it look easy, I'm doing my job well. Also, it might be catering to my strengths and my skills, whereas I've had so many people that are just like, "Oh, yeah, okay." And they start streaming, and they stream, if people have all these lofty goals, and they'll just be like, "Yeah, I'm going to go live every day. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that." And they go live one time, and then I never hear from them or see them ever again. Or they do it for a week. And sometimes someone does it for a month, and I'm like, "Yes, they're getting it. They're doing it." And then it's like, "Nope, I'm going to take 4 months off now." And you're just like, well, you're not going to be a successful live streamer if you don't go live, and that's just one example, right? That's my little weird niche of live streaming. Very rarely do people, are they in that niche or even want to be in that niche. But even Jules, love you, I give Jules some advice about his streams, and he's like, "No, I don't think so. I'll have to think about that. No, I don't really want to do that, because what about this?" As if I don't know, as if my advice and my experience and my background is not enough. I've out of all the people in his circle who he knows as friends, I can pretty much guarantee I've probably earned more money as a live streamer than any of them. Now, maybe he doesn't want to earn money as a live streamer. He just likes doing it. He just likes the social aspect. He just does it for fun. In which case, yeah, why would you take my advice? We do it for different reasons. I enjoy it too, but I do it for money. So I'm just using him as an example because there's been at least 2 or 3 times just in the last week where I'm like, "Oh, why don't you do this? Why don't you do this?" And he's just his immediate reaction is this resistance to change, or this resistance to maybe it's out of his comfort zone, or he just assumes it's going to go badly. I'm like, "Why don't you put TTV in your Steam username so people that you play this game with called Dead by Daylight that we play on Twitch a lot can come find you and hang out with you in your Twitch chat?" And he's like, "Well, I don't want people coming in and being mean." And you're like, "What?" Why would that happen? Just that's someone's perspective of it. It's I've done this for so long. And then his answer, and I'm sorry to use you as an example, but this happened publicly. It's not it was a secret, that private conversation we had. His answer is "Well, you're a pretty girl, so, that's why people aren't mean to you." And I'm like, "Well, first of all, people are horrible to me. I have plenty of trolls and haters, really, really, really nasty, horrible, evil people who have been attacking me personally, privately, publicly for years, okay, regardless of me being a pretty girl." I appreciate the compliment, but that's not why people aren't mean to me. A lot of people are mean to me, but there's a lot more people, substantially more, those mean people, the really evil people who've been harassing me and really obsessed with me for years, 5 people, maybe 10. They're really fucking annoying, to be honest. There's not a lot of them, but damn, they're annoying. But the vast majority of them, over all the different platforms I've had, over 100,000, probably at this point 150,000 people that have followed me on different platforms, there was 10 really, really bad people. probably at least 1,000, maybe 2,000 people who've been like sexually objectified me or said mean things or whatever and kind of like just gone with the wind. They come and go as quickly as possible. But there's a substantially greater amount of people who come in positively. They come in and say, oh, GG, good game. Or they come in and they say, oh, that was good play, or, well done. Or, hey, do you want to play together? I'm always looking for people to play with. Or, that's cool, you go live, I go live on Twitch. I'm trying to grow my audience. Maybe we'll follow each other. Maybe we'll learn from each other. Or they come in and they're like, I can help you get better at this game because damn, you suck. They don't say it like that, but you know what I'm saying? Like, they come in to help or whatever. Like, it's mostly positive things. So a lot of times people just assume if they put themselves out there, they're going to get rejected. If they try something, it's going to fail. So instead of try it, instead of just put it out there, because you can always undo it. Like, you can always say, I had a bad experience. And you can learn from your experience and decide you don't like that, you don't want that. But, so many people use that fear to keep them from even trying, to keep them from even doing it. They're like, I'm not even going to go out there and do it. So that's just a little example of how most people act in life. And it's hard because it's like, you just want people to have a good experience, and you're like, you give advice from like a good place, and it's like, sometimes people don't want it. And that's okay, right? It's like, whatever so many times us, like, people who are like type A achievers, like, have had success, we want that for other people, and then we don't realize, like, not everybody wants that. Not everybody is driven by success. Not everybody is driven by financials. Not everyone's driven by making new friends and networking and meeting new people. Like, some people just are happy to just stay where they're at, and that's something that I always have to remind myself all the time, is like, it's okay. Like, if they don't want more for their life, they don't want more followers, they don't want more whatever, that's their thing, right? I can't push that on them, and I have to detach my own goals and what I want for them from what they want, because what they want for themselves is 10 million times more important than what I want for them. What the heck difference? They're not my child, right? I'm not responsible for them. It doesn't matter. They might not want their chat to be busy and have a bunch of people in there because it might be overwhelming for them, and they just want to have like their girlfriend in their chat, and that's okay. Just that one person, that's the main person they're streaming for. Okay, I have to keep those things in mind for sure. If the value of the book was good, it would be more expensive, wouldn't it? Over time? Okay, so what you said is value goes down over time, and I said, well, what do you mean, value of what? And then I said, are you talking about the book, the price of the book? Price and value are not the same thing. So if something is very valuable, like, the value of something and the price of something are two different things. So like I said, this book could be $100 and it would have 100% been worth it for me, because I found a ton of value from this that's going to make me thousands of dollars. If someone's not an entrepreneur, if someone doesn't resonate with the messages in this book, probably like this girl who wrote this book, which I'm also reading. I was reading these two at the same time. I've been wanting to kind of talk about this, so we're getting into that a little. She might not find value from this book. She might strongly disagree with most of the things written in this book. So this book isn't worth a penny to her. The value is different, right? It has nothing to do with the price, right? This book could be $5, it could be $15, it could be $500. The price is irrelevant to the value. Like, what is the value you get from something? Just like a house, right? They run a valuation on a house, or I've run like valuations on stocks. If you go to my investing playlist here on YouTube, you'll see like I've done valuations of stocks. Very rarely does the value price, like the price I think the stock should be, based on its profits and its history and its like, my estimate growth for it over the years, very rarely does that match up with the price. Most of the time, every time when I've run valuations on stocks, the price is far over the value, like what would be a reasonable price to pay for it, if you match up the dollars of value for it. So every person values different things differently, but the price and the value are two different concepts. Price is the dollars, what it costs. The value is what it's worth to you. And you could try to quantify that into dollars and see if they match up, like I do with stocks. But it doesn't necessarily mean anything, right? If I wrote an ebook, or if I wrote a book and I decided to give it away for free, that doesn't mean it has no value because it's free, right? If I charged you $1,000 for the book, that doesn't mean it's more valuable than if I gave it to you for free. It's just the price. It's irrelevant from the value. Does that make sense? I know it makes sense. Does it make sense to you guys? Like, do you want to boost or do you want to be carried? A lot of people want to be carried. A lot of people are afraid to say that too. A lot of people are either not aware of what they want, or they're like I think actually awareness is probably a big thing. They don't even realize that that's what they want. They want to be dependent. They want to get it for free. They want something for nothing. And they just don't even realize that. And if they do realize it, they're not going to want to say it. You know, there's not a whole lot of pride in being like, I want to be rich, but I don't want to do anything. I don't want to learn anything. I don't want to try anything. I don't want to sell anything. I don't want to invest in anything. I just want to win the lottery and then do nothing. And I just want to take all the money for myself and do nothing good with it, like nothing useful. I don't want to leverage it into more money. You know, most people don't want to say that, but that seems to be what they want a lot of times. I mean, with a lot of the people I've talked to, I mean, they can try to convince me otherwise, but we're using money a lot here. We're talking about a book that's really about like business and wealth and entrepreneurship, and that's something I value a lot, and I use money as a like example in a lot of things. But there's a lot of things that I think most people have things they want more than money, which is love. Most people want love from their parents, from themselves, from a romantic partner. You know, they want respect, recognition, appreciation from their bosses, their coworkers, their neighbors, you know, their extended family. You know, we all want things besides money, but a lot of times people aren't willing to do the work for that either. It's harder to determine what work is involved in having relationships. Like somebody might want a girlfriend. Let's say you're a single guy and you want a girlfriend, but you aren't willing to work on your diet and your exercise to actually get fit and make it a lot easier to attract a mate to you. You're not willing to change your bad, nasty temper or to bite your tongue and exercise any kind of restraint or self-control around something you're very opinionated about, and you kind of just attack anyone who disagrees with you, and you're not willing to change any of these things that are going to make it really hard for you to find a quality mate. It's the same kind of thing, right? Whether you want $1 million or you want a hot girlfriend or you want, you know, to have a good relationship with your mom, which might involve you biting your tongue a lot. It might involve you having to swallow your pride and just accept her as she is and just, you know, like and so many people are so like bitter and resentful towards people they've had checkered pasts with, that it's not everyone's willing to forgive and to let go and to move on and to admit their own faults and to take their own responsibility for the bad things that have happened in their life. Some things are not your responsibility. Like if you were a child and you were abused by anyone, that's not on you, right? I don't want to say like everything is your fault, but for what you can take responsibility for, I find more people that are who are unwilling to take responsibility than people who are willing to take responsibility. I find it very refreshing, and I love it so much when I see someone take responsibility for something, especially if it's something that could very easily be blamed on someone else, like a failed relationship. It's so much easier to say, oh, that person was a narcissist. That person was abusive emotionally and verbally to me. That person didn't appreciate me. That person didn't speak my love language. That person. Instead of being like, you know, I didn't realize that I needed to, I didn't communicate clearly to them what I wanted and what I needed. I have victim mentality, and I put myself in a position to play the victim and be the victim. I was a human doormat. I let people walk all over me. I invited them to walk all over me because that was my comfort, because that's what my parents trained me to do. You know what I mean? Like kind of like having some introspection, some self-responsibility, and saying like, I played a role in this. I got into a relationship with a person who was abusive, right? I ignored the warning signs. I ignored the red flags. I got pregnant before really getting to know the person. All these things, like I find like single moms do this a lot. I was raised by a single mom. I'm not trying to hate on single moms, but I feel like single moms are like more waving the victim flag more often than they're saying like, I messed up by getting knocked up by a guy who wasn't a good father to a child. You know, I didn't practice safe sex and I fucked up my life and my child's life. You know, yeah, he did too. He abandoned you or whatever. He left. He was abusive. Who knows, right? But it's like you had sex with somebody like that, right? Where is the self-responsibility for that? If somebody raped you and you became a single mom, okay, you're not going to be taking responsibility for that. But generally speaking, most single moms had consensual sex with the person who knocked them up. And you don't hear them so often like taking a lot of blame. I'm sure there are plenty out there who do, and I'm glad that they're out there, but it's just kind of, I just like to put these little ideas out there that people don't really say too often because it's not popular. It's not popular for me to sit here and say, you are responsible for who you open your legs to. You know, like, you had sex with a loser, and how did he act when you got knocked up? Like a loser. How did he act before you had sex with him? Probably like a loser. So you're not blameless here, right? Neither is he. He's still acting like a loser. That's no good for anybody, right? He has his blame. He has his burden to carry and his responsibility. But most people blame him already. It's not a matter of like trying to take that away from him. It's just like, okay, but you played a role too, right? You were a consenting adult who didn't use a condom and slept with some dude you didn't even know the first night you met him and got knocked up. You know, it's like anyway. All you've talked about is adding TTV to my name. Nope, just last night I also said you can block certain phrases like wanna become famous, which is like the same thing they always use. And you were like, well, what if someone else says that and I don't want them to get banned? And, you know, and I was like, what? Whoever says that? Like, I don't think I've ever had that problem before of someone saying, want to become famous? And if they did and they accidentally got banned, they can reach out to you some other way and say like, oh, dude, like, I was just kidding and I got banned. If that happens, then you can decide you don't want to have that be blocked on your channel. You know, it's like, have the bad experience before you say, oh, there's a possibility, there's like an infinitesimally small chance that this thing that I do that's most likely going to be effective and work 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, if there's a 1% chance that it could be annoying or go wrong, so therefore I'm not going to do it. I'm going to not take the 99% effectiveness. I'm going to focus on the 1% possibility, probably less than 1% possibility that this backfires on someone else because, you know, there's like no benefit to any level of risk at all. You know, to me that's just, come on. Silly. It seems silly to me, but if you want to, you know, go back and forth with that, I'm definitely open to that. I'm not trying to say that I'm 100% right about everything. These are just my initial thoughts. Like when I say something that I think is helpful and useful and somebody just shuts it down for a reason that I perceive as like silly, you know, it's kind of like, that's silly, you know? It seems silly to me. I was a troll, I know, but a nice one. What? No. You are not anyone that I would refer to as a troll. Hi, Copper Boy, how are you? Totally agree. I think that's why programs don't work for some people. Yeah, and nothing will work for some people. Nothing. Their mom can tell them the same advice that their girlfriend tells them, that their therapist tells them, that their boss tells them, that their coworker tells them, that their best friend tells them, that their cousin tells them, that their neighbor tells them, that their enemy tells them. It could be everybody saying the same thing. Like there's something here. Like everyone could say, you seem to have trouble managing your anger. You seem to have like a short fuse and you just fly off the handle at everyone. And it's like some people will just be like, man, you just don't get me. You know, if you can't handle me on my worst day, you don't deserve me on my best day. Okay, fine. You know, ooh, my loss. It's like so silly. Some people, but I think a lot of this, sometimes people build up walls around themselves. They're just used to like, I don't want to take any risk. Like, I don't want to change anything because what if I make that change? What if I try something? What if I put myself out there? What if I do anger management therapy? First of all, what if I acknowledge that I have an anger problem? What if I have a really hard time changing? What if I can't change? What if I do manage to change and I still can't get a girlfriend and I still can't have a healthy relationship with my parents and I still can't get a job and I still can't whatever, you know, like so on and so forth. What if I deal with my anger problem and then I find there's another problem I have to deal with? Why don't I just keep this problem? I know this problem and I'll just accept it, that I'm just an angry person. I have trouble managing my anger and I'm just going to be angry and probably alone, you know, forever. I don't know what else to say. How can you be mean to this adorable little lady? You calling me an adorable little lady is actually, I don't know. I don't really like that actually, but okay. I promise that I do take some advice. I'm just careful with what I do. Yeah, I can see that you seem to have like a very low appetite for a risk or change. I can't tell. I'm still getting to know you because we still just kind of met. You also have to understand that I spent most of my life growing up alone and learning by myself with autism, so some things are not as easy for me. Yeah, absolutely. I still have a lot to get through. Yeah, I didn't actually know that you had autism. I actually find that surprising. That's probably like not the right way to say that, but that's my initial reaction. I don't know how they call it a spectrum, but I don't know. Do they have like say there's a spectrum, like there's the spectrum of colors, right? Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. Is there like purple autism and then red autism? Like they say it's a spectrum, but do they really like say you're at this part of the spectrum? Do they say low end or like high end or like severely debilitating versus like what would the word be? Like moderately debilitating, and then what would this be? Like maybe even like barely, I don't know the word I'm looking for, like barely debilitating, like barely interferes. Because most of my interactions with you, like I would say pretty much all of them, you seem to have good social skills. Like you don't just ramble on, you don't interrupt me, you listen well, you seem to take social cues well, like you can read the room, you laugh, so that's really interesting to me because I have friends who have autism who I realize like really struggle with that because of, what is it called, theory of mind? People with autism that I think that's like the defining characteristic of autism is you lack, is it theory of mind, where it's like your brain can't connect, it's like you don't have mirror neurons, so you can't put yourself in someone else's shoes and like think what they might be thinking or how they might be feeling. I've never noticed that with you. I've also, again, only just met you. But we've actually had some conversations privately that I won't share publicly where I feel like you've been actually rather empathetic, which I don't think is like a typical characteristic of someone with autism. So I think that's pretty interesting. You should see Match, Everybody Has a Kid. Ross, for real, is that in response to the single mom thing? Sorry, I'm still commenting through still catching up with the comments. Chris Rossetti, hello, how are you? How have you been? Are you still streaming? And if you are, where are you streaming at? Just got real up in here. I learned about biting tongue with my marriage. Gotta figure out what battles are worth fighting. Peace is better than being right all the time. Yes, that's huge. At the same time, I felt like in my previous relationship, I almost never felt like my battles were worth fighting. Like he wasn't an angry person. Neither of us were. We could have calm communication in general about anything. But there were so many times like little things that I just always felt like it was just so little that it didn't matter. But then eventually I was not in love with him anymore. And it's like, should I have brought these things up? I feel like with Ed, oh my God, I bring up so much stuff. Because it's like, as soon as there's like any seed of like anything, I'm like, we're going to talk about this. Because I'm like trying to leave no stone unturned. Like I want everything to be in the open. I don't want to surprise you one day. I don't want to just lash out and be like, you always do this, you're always doing this, you're always saying this, without like when it first happens. Like maybe not the first time actually. If it becomes like a repeating thing, like a little thing, like with Ed, he used to leave wet towels around. Like he would just bunch up his towels, and the worst for me was when he would put them on the bed. He would take a shower, his towel would be soaking wet, and he would just put it in like a ball on the bed. And at first it was like, it's a towel, it's, who cares, not a big deal. But it bugged me, right? And like I didn't want to say anything for a long time, and then eventually I could feel myself being like mad about it, like more mad, annoyed with it. And he didn't even know. Like he would have stopped if he knew, because I did tell him and he stopped. It was like, it wasn't that big of a deal for him to just be like, oh, sorry, I didn't realize, like I won't do that anymore. It's like, so if I was like, it's too petty, it's too tedious, it's too small, it's not worth fighting over, then I might like just, there's like little things that can annoy you about someone, and if you don't tell them, you're just going to be annoyed all the time. They're going to keep doing it because they don't know it bothers you, And there's some things that would be non-negotiable. A wet towel on the bed wasn't one of them, thank God. Because if he was like, well, I'm not going to change, I'm going to throw my wet towel on the bed in spite of you, it's like, damn. I'm sure he does it still every once in a while, but it's like, since he doesn't do it most of the time, and there's no expectation of perfection in any relationship, I certainly hope. But there should also be no expectation of mind reading, right? If you're like, well, I was quiet, I didn't, talk to them after dinner, they should have known that I was upset. Nah. Come on, put your big boy pants on, put your big girl pants on. Tell them you're upset and tell them why. No one's reading your mind. Not everybody notices if you're quieter than usual or, you're more distant than usual. It takes a while to notice that, and sometimes people are like, I don't know, I just thought you were in a bad mood. I didn't know it was about me. I didn't know it had anything to do with me. I just figured, okay, hey, she wants some space, I'll give her some space. When maybe you want them to not give you space, you want them to ask you what's wrong. Well, tell them that's what you want. Hey, if you feel like I'm being quieter than usual, ask me what's wrong. That's what I want you to do. And every time it happens, tell them. If they can never do that, you might just have to decide whether you want to be in a relationship with that person or not. Communication is key. I've noticed walls with women my own age. They're all about red flag this, red flag that. I've been hurt before. Yeah, that can be avoidant personality, or avoidant attachment style. So if you watch 2 or 3 book reviews ago, if you go to my books playlist here on YouTube, I did a review on a book called Attachment, and we talk about 3 different types of attachment styles. Avoidant, which might be what you're dealing with there, anxious, and secure. Secure attachments are the best relationships, but most people are secure in their attachment styles, which is good news for everybody. But generally speaking, especially in the dating pool, so you say your age, I'm thinking you're like 40 something, I'm going to say 40. So, or maybe you're like not quite 40. I think you're around 40. Let's call it 40. So you're 40 years old. You're single. You're looking for single women your age. People with secure attachment styles are not on the market very long or very often because they find healthy, secure relationships and partners, and they stay in those relationships for long periods of time. And then if for some reason that relationship does end, they're back in another relationship pretty quickly. Like they're a hot commodity. They get taken off the market quickly by the most attractive, appealing, secure person available. So in dating pools, on Match.com, whatever, right? On websites, on apps, speed dating, anything. Anywhere you go where you're just specifically like gathering singles looking for dates, you're actually going to find people with the avoidant attachment style substantially more than any other because they're single more than anybody else and for longer than anybody else because they avoid attachment. They avoid getting into relationships with people. So they look for anything that could be wrong, any red flag, which might actually be like a, let's say like a light pink flag. It's like, come on, it's very negotiable. It's changeable, like a towel on the bed. They could be like, red flag, not okay with me, not gonna do it, absolutely disgusting, gotta go, I'm ghosting him. It's like, okay, sure, red flag, yeah, non-negotiable, yeah, totally his fault, totally all about him, for sure, he had red flags, terrible guy, for sure. Really, it's like they have a fear of commitment or they have a fear of confrontation, right? They don't want to tell someone that something bothers them. So if something bothers them, they just disappear or they have been hurt before. That's normal. We've all experienced hurt. Most of us, I think, have been like cheated on or dumped unexpectedly or, in some people's cases, had somebody die who was close to them, expectedly or not. We've been through things that we don't want to hurt again. It's kind of part of the reason I don't have pets. I'm like, I'm not trying to be attached to another being. It's a lot of love. It's a lot of energy. And when that thing or person or whatever dies, so some people will just avoid relationships completely because whether they die or not, if they dump them or cheat on them, break up with them, they don't want to feel that, or they have to break their hearts, right? Like some people will just avoid relationships because of bad experiences, but it doesn't necessarily mean they have avoidant attachments. It's just maybe they're having an avoidant attachment style for a period of time after that. And some people they have patterns, right? They go for people who are emotionally unavailable to them and they're constantly getting their hearts broken. And it's like, well, yeah, you've had a lot of bad experiences because you've picked a lot of bad mates, do better, pick better, try harder, use your brain. Not your pee-pee. Unless you're just trying to have like a one night stand, as long as you're clear, communicating on both sides. I'm not here to slut shame anyone. I don't care. I don't care about promiscuous sex. Safe sex, use a condom, okay? Don't be knocking anybody up. Pull out at the very least. But I don't care. I'm not here to say everyone should be in serious, monogamous, long-term relationships. I'm not even really a big believer in monogamy myself. But I know a lot of people are looking for that. And that is like the predominant, most popular type of relationship that people are looking for romantically. It's okay, Josh. I know you didn't mean to offend me. I know your intentions are good. I'm on the lower end of the spectrum. I've tried getting better over the years. To be precise, I have Asperger's, however you spell it. I think it's P, A-S-P-B? Actually, I don't know, but I know what you're talking about. That's interesting. That's really interesting to me. Hi, Bindi. Oh my gosh, how have you been? Good to see you. Matt, you don't look like the type of person anyone would want to come in and say mean things, but some people do. Surprisingly, I think a lot of people are mean out of jealousy. Some people have mental illness too. Like, I know a lot of the people who hate on me have borderline personality disorder, which is a mental disorder where someone is either an amazing hero, a god, can do no wrong, or they're the evil devil, Satan themselves, incarnate, horrible, terrible person. They don't have it's very difficult for someone with borderline personality disorder to see someone as like somewhere in between, like a normal person, right? Like, we do bad things, we do good things. Sometimes we're a bitch, sometimes we're nice. Like, we're, nobody's perfect, but also rarely are people purely evil. I would say that sometimes that does seem to be the case. I mean, I don't want to say that never is the case. But I guess if nobody's ever perfect, then I'd say nobody's ever pure evil. Even if somebody's like a horrible serial killer, they've probably done something nice for someone or said something nice for someone sometime in their life. Even if it's hard to accept that. It's difficult to have cognitive dissonance, which is holding two conflicting thoughts at the same time. Like, this person is a horrible rapist, and this person is like volunteers at the local nursing home. It's like really hard to see that people can have like different things. Like, I cheated on my ex. That's true. I did that. That's shitty, right? That's like a bad thing to do. That's mean and heartless. And I am very much and actually, let's just say with this would be cognitive dissonance for you. I love him. I still love him like a family member, not like romantic love, but I want the best for him. I want nothing more for him than to find a woman who is compatible with him, who is worthy of him, who's not going to abuse him, who's going to treat him well and be a great partner and mate to him. That might seem hard to fathom, but that's the reality. That's how I feel. And that's what I did. I wasn't really trying to give you advice, Jules. I was just using it as an example of, like, the way that people have, like, habituated responses. Like, most people, like, don't want... It's like... And you didn't ask for advice, right? You didn't ask, like... To me, I was like, oh, why don't you put TTV in your name? And then your response to it, to me, was, like, unfounded. And the same thing happened with the, like, banning certain messages on Twitch. Excuse me. So it wasn't like I'm saying, oh, well, you should do it. Like, I'm right. You should take my advice. It was just, like, I experience that a lot where I say something to someone, like, oh, why don't you try this? Why don't you do this? And it's, like, there's always some reason, right? There's always some reason, and a lot of times I find those reasons to be unfounded. It's like they haven't actually had the bad experience of it, but the fear of the bad experience that could come from it keeps them from trying it. I was just using that as an example. Not like you should change any of those things. It was just, you were there in the chat and it was easy to think of those things because they were so recent. I certainly don't want you to change anything you don't want to change. That's perfectly fine. Your reasons don't have to be acceptable to me by any stretch of the term. I did this with Helena once before. We were talking about, can somebody be too nice? And I was like, well, there's someone in the chat right now, Helena, who I would argue probably has the potential to be too nice to the point where she would sacrifice her own happiness and comfort for someone else's. And I think that is the definition of too nice, right? I wasn't trying to tell her she should change. It's like, if she wants to be that way, she could be that way. It doesn't, it doesn't make any difference to me whether you put TTV on your Steam name or not. Like, what difference? It makes no difference to me at all. It's just interesting to me, like, how some people I like to use real world examples rather than just saying like theoretically people might be this way. It's like, here's an example of what I'm talking about, a real example, you know? Because I could be wrong, right? You could be like, I had TTV in my name before and I got a bunch of people harassing me. And it's like, oh, I didn't even realize that. And I made a wrong assumption, you know? Everyone's different though. Some spouses don't handle criticism well. They shut down and think I hate them. Some spouses or your spouse. Because that the way you said that, they shut down and think I hate them. How many spouses have you had? Them? That's not your fault. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to give feedback to them. You know, I feel a bit uncomfortable talking about her because she's passed away. And like her a lot. I mean, liked, I don't know, this feels weird. This is so weird to talk. I always never know like how to refer to people because I feel like she's still like, you know, here. But that's something that she probably needed to work on. It's not something that you needed to work on. It's not that you needed to not ever give her any feedback. It's not like you weren't allowed to be bothered by any of her things. You know, you had every right and have every right moving forward with anyone else you're in a relationship with to express discomfort, frustration, grievance, annoyance, whatever, irritation. You can work on how you deliver it, right? You can work on saying it in a nice way, in a constructive way, in a loving way. You can do the compliment sandwich. Have you guys heard of that? Where you say a nice thing and then the feedback and then another nice thing. You kind of sandwich it in there. Like, I love this about you so much. I really appreciate this. There's just this one little thing. It's like so tiny, but I just want you to know how I feel about it because I know you can't read my mind and I don't expect you to read my mind and you don't have to change it. I just want you to know that it bothers me. It makes me uncomfortable. It makes me feel insecure. It, whatever, annoys me straight up. Who knows? But I really love how you listen to me and you're open to hearing this from me. And I love that you always let me speak my truth and you don't judge me. And, you know, and I'm open to hearing anything that's been bothering you about me lately or anything that, you know, while we're talking about it, if there's anything else that I can work on, you know, I know that this is a two-way street. I don't expect you to make all the changes and me to just stay the same. Something like that. I don't know. You know, like from any, like Ed, sometimes so he like shaves his chest and his back. And when the hair is growing back in, it's like kind of sharp. And sometimes when he's cuddling me, I want to cuddle him. Like I like cuddling him. But sometimes his stubble is like, it hurts my skin. And I'm like, ow. I'm not wanting to be near you. So what he does, he puts a shirt on and then he cuddles me. And we're good, you know? It's like easy changes. We don't have to, it doesn't have to be like, ew, get away from me, blah. You have to shave your chest every single day if you ever want to cuddle me again, you know? Hi, Magic, how are you? In my dabbling a little, I had much better luck with much younger girls, but I don't want to date a girl in her 20s. Okay, so don't. You gotta kiss a lot of frogs to find a queen? A mate isn't a necessity. That's true. It's not a necessity. However, it is linked to longer lifespan, lower experiences of pain. So like as you get older, having a significant other, it doesn't necessarily have to be a sexual partner, but someone who you feel so close with that you know that no matter what, you have their back and they know that you have their back and you know that they have yours. It's a companion. You know, they call older people, like in longer relationships and like older marriages, a lot of times they call that companionate love because it's like not so much about like sex and romance and going on dates as much as it is like being a companion, someone who's gonna like hold your hand on your deathbed and not like abandon you in your time of need, you know, really knowing that like they have your back and knowing that if push comes to shove and they're on their deathbed, you're going to be there for them. That kind of relationship, which is typically a spouse, but could be other types of relationships, is linked. There's a really awesome study. You can look it up. It's the Harvard longitudinal study. I forget what it's called. It's like Harvard adult longitudinal study something. They've done this over the past, I think, 100 years. They've repeatedly tested the same people from like childhood to adulthood into their death, and started over with new generations from those same groups, and just like it's really hard to find that quality of a study. And they found socioeconomic status, money, religion, these things that people might think are related to, health, nutrition, exercise, that everyone thinks like is related to longer life. The number one predictor of people living longer, having better memories, because, how are you going to really bicker good when you're like 80 if you can't remember, what buttons to push? It doesn't mean that you're not bickering. It doesn't mean that you're super pleasant, happy, positive, lovey-dovey. It just means that you have their back and they have yours. That's as simple as it is. Like my great aunt who recently passed away and my great uncle, I think they're a good example of this. She was constantly just criticizing him and just, it seemed like they were a little miserable, but they were together for 50 years, right to the bitter end, and they really had each other's backs. He was with her every step of the way while she died. It's what most people want, right? You can say that's not a necessity, but most people are afraid of dying alone. And so not only do you live longer when you have a person who has your back and you have theirs, not only do you have better memory, improved memory into your old age, you also, whatever pain you do experience, you report it as less substantial than people who are single or alone. So if you could have the same level of arthritis, let's say you have like a single woman with arthritis and a married woman with arthritis. Well, she's going to report, it could be the same pain, right? The same level of pain, but she's like, oh, it's like a 6, where this person's like, it's a 9. It's like the same, but they just report lower levels of pain. It's hard to say who's really, if they're experiencing less pain, but they're reporting less pain. They're less affected by it psychologically than people who are alone. And maybe it's because they're, maybe it's like just the simple distraction. You have this other person to worry about and to talk to, and like it keeps you from just being in your own head alone. Like I struggled with depression before, and I know being alone in the nighttime was always a very bad idea. It was a very like dark time for me because I was left with my own thoughts and ruminations. So having another person there can be a comfort and can be really just straight up a distraction too from your pain or whatever it is. Was this supposed to be a book review? I love going on tangents. Yeah, we'll get to the book. I love this conversation, though. Mostly just on social media. I test the waters a little with a single mom in her 40s, and she seems too cautious, but I drop $100 on a 20-something girl's live, and she's sending me DMs for days. Well, that doesn't mean she's romantically interested in you. That means that she wants more money from you. More often than not. That's not the same thing. Borderline personality disorder. Oh, you never knew what that was before? Nice. I don't think you're reading this. I am reading it. Maybe I'm bad at critiquing. Maybe. Yeah, emotional intelligence is important. Maybe it's recorded? What? No, it's not recorded. Haven't you been following me for years? You think this is recorded? Nope, not a recording. Thanks, Josh. Memory is for good bickering, right? Who knows? A shaved chest, yeah. Okay. I caught up on the chat. Now we can talk about this book. So, I want to first start talking about the 2 books I was reading at the same time, because I thought this was pretty interesting to me. So I was reading this book, Be Obsessed or Be Average, alongside this book, which I'm still working on because it's like a 30-day program. So I do 1 little chapter per day, where this I was just reading at my own pace. And I found, so this is like a yoga, Kino McGregor, she's a like very famous yoga teacher, and Grant Cardone, who's like a famous business entrepreneur, kind of wealth guy, hustler, sales guy. And it was so interesting to me, the direct contradictions between these 2 books, and how he would say, don't listen to people who tell you to chill out and calm down and slow down and that work isn't everything and blah, 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 and that you're so obsessed. He's like, cut those people out of your life. Those people, if you look at them, they're average, they're in debt, they've given up on their dreams, their relationships, their health, whatever. Like all their stuff is average at best. Most of them are struggling. Yet they're going to give you advice to like, oh, chill out. And then I'm reading this yoga book where she's like, we're all way too stressed. We're doing too much. We need to just chill out. We need to just relax. We need to just be in the moment. And it was so funny to me because I would be reading both of those, like I would read both books in one day because I'm still reading one chapter a day of the yogi assignment and doing the yoga poses and doing the little themes and journaling and meditation. And then I'm reading this book about business and this guy who's like, no, don't slow down. Don't do that. Don't listen to that. Don't, you know, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm a yoga teacher. Okay. I've been doing yoga for many years, but this one resonated with me so much more. I found myself like, yes, exactly. So relatable. When I was reading hers, I was like, I don't think that's really great advice because I think most people are already too chill. They're already spending so much of their lives just like playing video games, watching Netflix, playing games on their phones, like scrolling through social media. You know, they're not really... And they're exhausted because they're working these jobs that they hate and they're in relationships that they hate. And like, I'm not, you know, I'm not saying that it's easy and that they're not doing anything productive, but those things aren't really that productive. Like your job, if you're an employee, you have to make twice as much money gross as an entrepreneur because of tax incentives, because of self-employment tax and the ability to write off your expenses before paying your taxes if you're self-employed, as opposed to paying your taxes first and then paying your expenses as an employee. So, you know, so many people are focused on the wrong things, and the advice is not to chill out and don't worry about it. My advice would be to wake up, smell the coffee, get your shit together, and get to work, because it's not going to be easy, and the later you start, the harder it's going to be. So let's get to it. And I just loved the energy of his book so much. So personally, I haven't really been a big Grant Cardone follower. I'm not into real estate, and that's his niche. That's his big thing, is like real estate. He's also very materially focused. I'm not trying to say that's a bad thing. I'm just not really that way. He's like, there was one part in this book where he's like, you know, be honest. Do you want the jet? Do you want the mansion? Do you want the Ferrari? Do you want this? Do you want that? And I was like, no. Not that I don't want to be able to travel the world whenever I want and have like houses all over the world and different beaches and whatever, speak different languages. I have things that I would want to do that are like excessive and extreme and maybe obsessive, but it's not the same things that he wants. So, you know, I've not always really resonated, and I find that a lot with men and women. Like a lot of times if there's really successful, and I say successful, typically meaning business and finance-wise, because how much do I really know how successful someone's relationship is? You can't judge someone's relationship by what they post on social media, right? Unless it's my friend, my personal friend, I don't really know the quality of someone's relationship success or their mental health success or even their personal health success. I don't really know that. But I can tell if their business is profitable, right? You can just look at like the wealth that they have. You can look at their net worth. You can look at their financial statements of the companies they own and run and determine if someone is successful or not. If they're famous, they're successful in some way, right? They've gotten in front of enough people that they're a household name. People, you know, Jeff Bezos. I don't really need to know him personally to know that he's been pretty successful, particularly financially. Elon Musk, same category, right? Steve Jobs, no longer with us, but was very financially successful. So when I say successful, I mean like that. So I find that with successful women, a lot of times the messages they have and the advice they give is like more easily acceptable to me. I'm like, yeah, it's more in alignment, because generally speaking, men and women value different things. And that's not every single man or every single woman. Not everybody is the same. But a lot of, you know, I've never really been hugely into Grant Cardone because I'm not really into the same values that he's into. But that's okay. I mean, he values his kids and his wife too. You know, it's not like he doesn't value those things. He values his physical health. But what really stood out to me in this book that I took as not a great thing, not something that I relate with, is that he really, not only does he not focus on mental health, why am I wearing these, by the way? He basically acts like mental health is either not just like it's not important, and it's like almost like if you work on your mental health, it's a bad thing. Like he almost demonizes therapy and you know, therapists, mental health, like the mental health industry. And that's where I'm gonna have to backpedal on him a little bit and be like, okay, dude, you know, that's really going too far. and to say be obsessed or be average and just be obsessed and that's good as long as you're obsessed with the right things. Some people, that's very dangerous, right? Like, I don't know his personal life that well. I don't know if he has like actual obsessive compulsive disorder or obsessive compulsive personality disorder. I don't know if he's like very anal about flicking on light switches or checking to make sure the stove is off or making sure everything is extremely clean or what. You know, these things can really be debilitating. They can be actual mental illnesses that interfere with your ability to lead a normal, healthy life. So I want to say that as my take on this, right? I agree with like 90% of what's in this book, but there's a little bit of, you know, he talked about how like he had therapists try to prescribe him lithium before, which is typically for people who have bipolar disorder, and that people have told him that he's manic sometimes, and that he just rejects that information. That's something that someone with bipolar disorder who is in a manic state would do. That's not uncommon in people who are mentally ill to not acknowledge that they're manic, because when you're manic, you feel better than everyone, you feel smarter than everyone, you feel unstoppable, you feel like you can make no wrong decisions, it doesn't matter what you do, it's the right thing to do, and that everyone else is wrong if they disagree with you. That's mania. I mean, that's like almost the textbook definition of mania. So I'm like reading this going, he might have bipolar disorder. Like, he might actually be like, and he might have like the type of bipolar disorder that's like hypomanic. So he doesn't just go out and start sleeping with a bunch of people and gambling all his money away and going into like excessive mania, but he might have like some hypomanic tendencies, and he might have like basically unmanaged and undiagnosed, well, I don't know about undiagnosed, but unmanaged like mental illnesses. And he struggled with drug addiction before. So the first thing, and I do agree with this generally, right? I just want to say that little asterisk about mental health before I dive in, just to say like mental health is still important. I do agree with him that a lot of things in the mental health industry and what seems to be like standard practices are more harmful than they are helpful. Like digging into people's past, digging into people's abuse, making them relive traumatic experiences to try to desensitize them to it. I'm not sure that's effective. I was reading this book. At the same time I was reading this book fucked me up for a few days. This book, there was an exercise that she had me do in here, not physical exercise, like a mental and written exercise that completely threw me for a mental tailspin for at least 2 days. This book didn't do that. This book had me going, this guy might be he might have a little bit of mental illness. He might have a little something going on. It might not be all rainbows and butterflies and perfection here, but he didn't send me into any kind of weird, like, depressed state for multiple days. This one, which you would think would be, oh, this is like so healthy and great, she said to write down the challenges I've been through in my life. Take a minute right now. Don't do this. Do not do this. But this is what she said in the book. Take a minute, write down, a bunch of challenges that you've been through. And you can look back on that and say, yeah, I'm a survivor. I made it through. I can get through anything. That was not the experience that I had. Writing down all these challenges that I had dealt with is the opposite of how I've been living my life since back when I was depressed and cutting myself. I stopped that when I was about 19. I'm 31 now. So for about 12 years, when I was 19, I read a book by Barbara Fredrickson, who's a PhD psychologist, which is called Positivity, and it talks about positive psychology and the importance of focusing on positives and not on negatives, because negatives will happen and the brain naturally goes towards the negative. It's more powerful, and it's like our amygdala, which perceives threats. It monitors our environment and looks for threats and monitors for threats, and then tries to flee from threats. Anything that's bad or potentially harmful or fearful, a lot of what we've been talking about here it wants to move away from those things. So we don't really need to work on honing that skill. Most of us, unless you have brain damage or something wrong with your amygdala, most of us can do that just fine. If a bear is coming at us, we know that it's dangerous. We don't need to sit around and prepare and think, oh, what if a bear comes, and spend all this time focusing on the negative. And our brain, if we allow it to, can go down a very dark path if we do that. So if we focus on the positive, we increase our resilience, we increase our optimism, we increase our motivation, we increase our dopamine, we increase all of these things that are connected with more of the life that most people want to lead, and most actually getting those goals and having what it takes to put in the work to get what we want, rather than being the people who want but don't work. They don't work for it. They want something, but they just accept it as unattainable, unachievable, and they just don't even go for it at all. We talked about this with sex the other day, sexual fantasies. They did this study. It's on Netflix. It's called Sex Explained, I believe, is the Netflix series. And episode 1 is about sexual fantasies. And it was something like 75% of people want to act out their sexual fantasies, but only like 25% of people have even tried to have their sexual fantasies be realized. So the 25% of people that don't want to act out their sexual fantasies, that's fine, right? Why would they try to make that happen? But only 25% of people of the 75% have tried it to make that happen. It's a perfect example of what I'm talking about here. Like, so many people, it's like they want something and they don't even try. They're just too afraid. So positive psychology really brought me out of depression. It helped me to stop cutting myself. It made me who I am today. It's caused me to be successful in my relationships, with my money, with my business, with my health. Nothing's perfect, but I have what I need, and I have what it takes to have success in any area of my life that I want to have success in. And I credit that primarily to positive psychology. So writing down all my challenges is the opposite of anything that I've practiced for a very long time. I've never had a therapist ask me to do that or anything. What I would normally do is write down things that I'm grateful for. Write down 3 good things that happened today. Write down good things. Focus on the good things. Don't focus on the 10 trolls that you have. Focus on the thousands of positive friends and supporters and followers, whatever, that you have. Focus on the good. Focus on the positive. So me writing down all these challenges really messed with my brain. It really, I was like, wow, I've been through so much. And I kind of started having like a pity party. I started to feel very unmotivated. I started to feel very depressed. I couldn't sleep. My mind was racing. I was crying myself to sleep for no apparent reason. I don't even know why I was crying. I mean, I was messed up for, I think, like 2 days. Luckily, I have so much practice in positive psychology, and I was reading this book we're reviewing here today, that I was able to bounce out of that and have resilience and realize, okay, that was a bad idea. I'm not going to do that anymore. Focusing on the bad stuff, what does that really do? Focusing on the past. Okay, sure, I'm strong. I'm a survivor. I can get through stuff. Sure, But I already knew that, right? By focusing on the positive, I already feel strong. I already feel powerful. I already feel capable. I don't need to look back on the bad stuff that I've been through and throw myself a pity party and say, oh, I'm so awesome, in order to launch me forward. If anything, it slowed me down and completely made me stagnant and almost immobile for a few days. Not physically, but mentally. I couldn't be creative. I barely wanted to do anything. I was so easily frustrated and getting down on myself, and that was just one thing in that book. The Yogi Assignment book generally has also helped me. The combination of these 2 books has really helped me tap into creative energy and motivation for my business and my life in general. So they're good in general, but I noticed that really stark contrast that I wanted to kind of talk about because I found that super, super interesting. So he talks about obsession. In the very beginning of this book, he talks about his previous drug addiction and how he was obsessed with the wrong thing. He was obsessed with getting high and staying high and his next fix and where he was going to get his drugs from and how to get money for drugs, and he was obsessed with the wrong thing. And that being obsessed with positive things, with healthy things, with learning, with things that are good for us is a good thing. Being obsessed with making money to support our family, to support ourselves, good things. As long as you channel that obsession, that ability to become obsessed with things that benefit you and the people around you, it's okay to be obsessed with those things. It's okay to work harder and longer than everyone else and to be more passionate about what you're passionate about than anyone else. That's good. That's to be encouraged and stoked and rewarded, not shut down. it's not something to be ashamed of. And I really like that. I needed to hear that personally. And because I'm someone who in my life, I get that same kind of thing. Like, oh, you're kind of obsessed with like live streaming is something I've done for a long time. And with money, oh, you're a little obsessed with money. Well, money is freedom. I've heard it said that money, instead of calling it dollars, calling it freedom units. I still don't know what this is. I think I'm just gonna... I'm gonna get rid of that person. I'm gonna get rid of the other person that said the same comment, because I don't know what that means, but it's obviously like bots. So now they won't be able to comment. All right, Josh, have a good day. "67 steps to be picked up and carried over the finish line." That's funny. Spending time on YouTube. Well, I mean, if you're learning, right? If you're on YouTube learning something, or even, so one of the 10 positive experiences from that book, Positivity, that changed my life so many years ago, is interest. Something that you're interested in. Being interested in something means that you're not feeling super depressed, you're not feeling suicidal, you're not feeling hopeless. You're interested. Something's captivating your interest and you're interested in it. So that's okay. And, it's a matter of how much time are you going to spend on that. Lately, something I've been watching a lot on YouTube. Hi, David. How are you? Something I've been watching is like interrogations of criminals. Probably not largely productive. I mean, I am a psych major and I do want to be a therapist, and I've been really interested in psychology and law and where those things overlap, and the psychology behind interrogations is interesting to me. Is it something I'm going to do as a career? I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. It's just interesting to me. Do I spend 8 hours a day watching them? No. I spend maybe an hour. One day, like last week or 2 weeks ago, I spent 3 hours watching one. And I was like, okay, that was a little bit much. I spent a little bit too much time watching that one interrogation. But it's not my whole life, right? It's not consuming my whole life. And it's just interesting to me. It's something I'm interested in. I don't watch it every single day. It's not the only thing I do. It's okay to have like hobbies and interests that aren't related to your bottom line. Maybe you like to watch cat videos on the internet. I don't know. Maybe you like to watch, things about animals or whatever. Like, maybe you like to read romance novels. It's okay. It's okay to have things that aren't financially productive as part of your life. It's okay to be well-rounded, I think. I don't know what Grant would say, but this is my channel. This is my video, not Grant's. Okay. A term that he uses that I really like is feed the beast. That obsession, that passion within you, feed that, stoke that fire, feed that flame, find more and more things. Reading, for me, like reading books like this, getting me going, getting me motivated, getting me inspired, surrounding myself with people with similar interests and similar hunger, similar ambition. All these things feed the beast, and then starve the doubt. And he talks about 2 types of people that can cast, besides your own internal doubt and fear, 2 external types of people in your life that try to feed your doubt. And you want to starve the doubt. So you want to get these people either out of your life or tell them that you're not going to accept this type of behavior from them. And if they continue, then you might have to remove them from your life. And I don't care if it's your own mama. You have to be clear with people. You have to communicate. You can't be afraid to say what you want. Life is too short. You don't want to get on your deathbed and realize that you lived your whole life worried about somebody else and not about yourself. Who is worrying about you? I mean, come on. It's important to be able to be clear. So there's 2 types of people. There's naysayers. This is how he defines them. Naysayers and haters. So the naysayers are people who actually do have your best interest at heart, they think. They probably don't have a lot of information or education or knowledge about how to be successful, what it takes, what passion, what good, healthy obsession looks like or anything like that. They're afraid for you. They don't want you to get hurt. They don't want you to fail. They don't want you to suffer. So they try to keep you from your dreams out of love for you and out of care for you. These are like your family members, your spouse, your kids, whoever. And they're like, oh, dad or mom, like, it's not worth it. It's not worth the risk. Maybe they've failed and it would be painful for them to see you succeed. But it's mostly that they just assume that you're not going to, and they don't want you to be embarrassed. They don't want you to feel bad about yourself. They don't want to feel bad about you, whatever. Maybe it reflects on them. There's a lot of reasons, but generally speaking, they do love you and care about you, and they're actually trying to give you advice because they're worried about you, because they don't know, right? They don't really know much, usually. Those are naysayers. With them, you just have to communicate to them and say, like, listen, I'm not going to listen to you poo-poo my dreams and give me unfounded advice as someone who's not accomplished what I'm trying to accomplish. I'd rather maybe not have conversations about business or finance with you. Maybe we can just keep our relationship about other things and we don't talk about this. I don't want to hear you getting down on me about my ambitions. It's not helpful to me, and I don't want it, and I don't accept it. Then you have the haters. The thing about the haters is they really do hate you. They don't want you to succeed. They don't want you to, they're not trying to protect your feelings of failure. They're not trying to keep you from embarrassment. These people generally want you to suffer. They want you to fail. They want you to do bad. But the best thing about haters is that they give you so much free advertising, because they will just talk shit about you to anyone who will listen. They're obsessed with hating you, and probably other people too, maybe themselves, unfortunately. And they will just talk about you. They will promote you for free. You do not have to pay them. You do not have to give them any attention. You don't have to do anything. They'll just get your name out there for free to anyone who will listen, which unfortunately, usually with people like that, isn't a whole lot of people, but it's still free exposure. It's still free advertising. Whereas your naysayers, they are trying to protect you, so they're not going to tell anyone what you're trying to do because they don't think it's going to go well, and they don't want you to be embarrassed. Your haters want you to fail, and they want everyone to see you fail. So just don't fail. And if you do fail forward. Who cares about failure? You just get back up and try something new. So love your haters. Realize that their obsession with you, and I've noticed this long before I read this book, it's adorable. It's precious. They are so obsessed with you. They know more about you than maybe your own parents or your own spouse. They watch your every move. They analyze your every decision. And sometimes they might actually give you good advice. They might actually say, oh, this, that, blah, blah, blah. And you might say, you know what? Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have put it that way. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe that was a bad decision. Maybe that was something I could have done differently. You can, whether they're haters and they really don't have any place to be giving you advice or anything, take grains of truth wherever you can find them. Be open, be humble to being wrong or to making bad decisions. Don't just assume because somebody hates you, everything they say about you is untrue. Maybe you do come across a certain way, and maybe you don't want to come across that way, so you can work on that. Maybe they're blowing the trumpet on something that you want to talk about. Yeah, this was a failure that I had, and here's what I learned from it, and here's why it made me stronger, and here's why it made me better, and here's why you want to do business with me, because I already did my failing, and I've learned from that, and now I'm better than ever, and I'm better than all my competitors who just started. They don't have the experience I've had. Use it as a sales pitch. Use it to power yourself forward. And most of the time, like with my haters, people are not dumb. People have common sense. People have common decency. They see the person spewing hatred and negativity. They go, oh, what's their name? Let me go check out this evil, horrible person you're talking about. Let me go give them a piece of my mind. They show up in my channel and they go, huh? Wait, hold on. This is the evil, horrible person you've been talking about? This is, I don't know. Kind of seems like the other person, the person who's hating and running their mouth saying all sorts of horrible things, might actually be projecting. They might actually be more of the toxic, bad person than this person that I'm looking at, who's answering all my questions, being very direct, happy to communicate about anything, being transparent, being authentic, and having a good product, a good offering, a good service, whatever it is that you have. If you want to have a life that you can be proud of, that people can come from the haters community and come look at you and say, damn, it's really hard to hate this person, because it doesn't really seem like there's much to hate there. You don't want to be like easily hateable, but haters, it's fine. If you don't have any haters, you're probably not doing a whole lot. That's my experience and my opinion anyway, as well as Mr. Cardone's. Okay, next part is, he talks about dominating, competing, winning, things that are oftentimes viewed as negative terms. A lot of people who are like socialists, we all want to be on the level playing field. We should all get exactly the same salary every year. Nah. Dominate your industry, dominate your niche, be competitive, win. Don't be afraid of coming out on top. Don't be afraid of doing better than your competitors. Don't be too empathetic to your competition, right? To the point where you're like, ooh, but I don't want to hurt them by me being awesome. You don't need to attack anyone. You don't need to be lying. You don't need to, you don't need to do any kind of underhanded tactics. And I would strongly encourage you not to do any of that stuff. But you might just be better. That's what you want to do. You want to work harder. You want to work smarter. You want to work better. You want to have better energy, better products, better services than any of your competition. It's not about trying to make them look bad. It's just about putting your best foot forward. It's about doing your best, and hopefully and ultimately, if you are a competitor, your best will be the best. Not just your best, but it will actually be the best in your niche and in your industry and your market. Always be pushing yourself and others out of their comfort zones and out of your comfort zones. The way he puts it is stay dangerous. Be willing to do more and be more risky and more adventurous than anyone else in your market, because that's gonna keep you on the cutting edge. That's gonna keep you always evolving, always changing, always growing, always staying one step ahead. Don't get stagnant, don't get comfortable, don't get lazy. I made this mistake very recently. This is really helping me to go, okay, you know what? Why don't I do this? This only takes a few minutes to improve this, to do this, and really just keep growing, keep pushing. Don't say, oh, okay, I have been doing this for a few years. I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing better than most people, so I can just kick back and relax. No. Why not do better than the best? Why not push yourself further than you've ever gone before? Why not push yourself out of your comfort zone? And don't be afraid to do that with your children, with your spouse, with your family members, with your friends. You want people in your life who are comfortable being uncomfortable and saying, yeah, let's try this. Let's lose this weight. Let's go travel, do this crazy adventure, go travel to this country and do this hike or whatever it is for you guys, whatever you're interested in. Let's compete to see who can read this book faster. Maybe it would be something I would do, Let's see who can stream longer, whatever. That's mine, whatever yours would be, like pushing yourself. How I just did a 24-hour stream the other day without sleeping. I'd never done that before in 5 years. I pushed myself out of my comfort zone, and it was awesome. It was great, and it was a great memory. It's something that I can now put another feather in my cap and say, hey, I did this. I achieved this. It was something I never did before. Just yesterday, I did a bunch of things I'd never done before. I did a sub appreciation Sunday. I did sub-only chat. I did sub-only games. I gifted 100 subs while live to other streamers on Twitch. And it was awesome. It paid me back dividends, and it was way out of my comfort zone. It was way out of my normal budget. It was way out of what I normally do. But I didn't let that stop me. I stayed dangerous, right? These streamers better watch out. They better watch out. I'm going to come give them all my money. And they're not going to know what to do. It's like, they're not going to do that. How many people are going to go do that? How many people are going to be able to replicate that? And as soon as they start being able to, that means I need to go a step further. I need to go a step beyond. I need to increase it and keep, my edge. Be willing to do more than anyone else. Stay persistent. Don't give up, right? Just because, if something's not giving, keep chipping away at it. If what you're doing isn't seem to be working, you could try it a little bit longer. You do have to be able to cut your losses and try a different strategy sometimes too, but it's so hard to know, maybe, like, let's say you're pushing this boulder up a mountain and you were just about to get over that edge and have that awesome snowball effect and all these amazing things happen for you, and you gave up just short of that, just shy of that tipping point. It's so hard to know that, but you also don't want to be someone who's thinks they're pushing something up a cliff, and really they're just like pushing it up a vertical wall, and all it's ever going to do is just fall back on you, and you're never going to get it over to the other side, because there is no other side, because it's just like it just goes flat at the top. There's nothing to be gained there. So that's a trade-off. You got to stay persistent and don't give up, but don't be afraid to change and pivot and adapt and evolve and give up something that's not working. something that I thought was really cool is he talked about a guy, I don't remember who it was, how every single person this guy meets, he shakes their hand, he pulls them in close, and he says, I want to work with you. Everyone. He just like, everyone has something that I could use. Because most people will be like, oh no, I'm too busy. Oh no, I'm already working. Oh, I already have my comfort zone. Okay, fine, right? If they're not gonna, it's a two-way street. You can't make someone work with you. But you can put an offer out to lots of people. You can be like, hey, I'd love to work with you. What can we make happen? How do you think you can help my business grow? And I'm definitely gonna pay you fairly for what you're able to bring to my business, to my life. Maybe it's someone who can help clean your house or do your laundry or whatever, take care of your car. I mean, who knows, right? You're always networking, always growing. And you want to network with the best if you want to be the best. And you do want to be the best, so network with the best. Find the top people in your area. Go out there. Meet the most impressive salespeople. Meet the best lawyers, the best accountants, the best everything. Learn from these people. Grow from these people. Get in their circles. Get in their events. Be around, rubbing shoulders or rubbing elbows, whatever the term is, with people that you want to emulate. People who are way above what you think that you could ever achieve. Go hang out with them. Go buy them dinner. Go, buy a ticket to some event that's going on that's outside of your comfort zone for price. Like, get around people who are going to challenge you to do better and not tell you to chill out and slow down and realize there's more to life than money and whatever else kind of random stuff that people sell you on because they gave up on their own dreams. Once you have a team, once you have people that work for you, it's okay to demand results, keep them accountable, and stay in control. He has a whole chapter called Be a Control Freak. There is nothing wrong with being in control of your life, of your business, of your relationship, right? Everything's like two ways, but you want to be in control of your own life and your relationships and your businesses. That's all part of your life. So if you're in a relationship with someone who you don't like the way the relationship goes and this person doesn't want to make whatever changes to have a relationship that you want, it's okay to let go of that, right? There's nothing right about being out of control, right? There's nothing wrong with being in control, and there's nothing good about being out of control. Having no control over yourself, having no control over your business, having no control over your relationships, there's nothing good about that. There's nothing to be proud of with that. There's so many people that are afraid of being in control because they don't want the responsibility if something doesn't work out the way they wanted it to, or they don't want to be in charge, right? They have like no desire to control themselves or anyone else. Don't be that person. Be in control. Control yourself. Learn how to control yourself and restrain yourself and stick to a disciplined routine. Exercise, food, money. Be in control of yourself. And then be in control of your business, your children, your pets, like the things that you are responsible for, your relationships, right? You can't control your other people, but you can exert your own, like you can say, this is the way that this works in my life. And anyone who doesn't want to be in there doesn't have to be. Eventually, your kids are going to be able to move out and do whatever they want and have their own life however they want. And your spouse is free to go if they want to as well, right? You're not controlling them, like physically putting a leash on your spouse and like saying it's my way or the highway. But you can say, I expect respect. I expect, for you to be like, this is the lifestyle I want. Maybe you want to work 16-hour days and, not, travel a lot and be able to be in and out all the time. And that's just the life that you want to have, and you're in control of that. And you need someone who's going to be either in that with you, going around with you, or okay, not seeing you as much, right? Maybe your love language isn't quality time, so you don't really need to spend a whole lot of time with your person. Kind of like me, who I don't really need a lot of quality time to feel loved. I just want the time that we do spend together to be quality, but it doesn't have to be high in quantity. Yeah, I think that's everything I wrote down. So yeah, I would give this book 4 or 5 stars. Be Obsessed or Be Average by Grant Cardone. I very much enjoyed it. I feel like my creative energy and ideas are at an all-time high, especially in conjunction with this yoga book. And that's my book review. It went very long. Sorry that this went so long. I'm not really sorry. It's been almost 2 hours that we sat here and we talked about a lot of different things. This book prompted a lot of different conversations. I appreciate all you guys coming in and showing up in the chat. If this is on the replay or you just got here and you don't want to watch 2 hours of conversation live, you're more than welcome to just sign up for my email book reviews on my website, which is completely free, doesn't cost you a thing, and you'll just get a few paragraphs that you can read about the book. And there will be a link to this video as well as all of the other books that I read over the next few months. My last book review email, I think, went out sometime in the last month, so it'll be like 3 or 4 months before I send another one of those out. But I do send out monthly little updates about my channels, what's been going on, when I'm on top of it, which I haven't been for a couple of months, just to stay in touch. And you know, you can reply back to those emails and let me know where you're at, what you're working on. If you want some accountability, we are doing a weight loss challenge on my Discord page right now, so you can go check that out. All the links are on my website, nexjuice.com, NexJuice. I love you. You are worthy of being loved and feeling comfortable in your own skin. This has been a Moment in Time with Taylor. I go live every single day on various platforms, mostly on TikTok and Twitch, at least as of the recording of this video. So you can go check that out. You can check out my book reviews, the books playlist here on my YouTube channel. And yeah, if you like this, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, here's your chance. And I love you, and expremidium, squeeze the day. This has been a Moment in Time with Taylor. Hope to see you guys on Twitch. I'll be on Twitch and TikTok later today. So hope to see you in both places. Same username everywhere. NexJuice. Bye-bye.